I just sold 38% of my business for £100,000. And in this video, I'm going to try and explain why and how and what we're going to do next. So this all came about a little bit out of the blue. We didn't need the money, we were doing okay, don't get me wrong. Cash flow is a little bit challenging, but Simon, who you're about to see, was a customer of ours for a long time, recently retired, came to me and said, hey, look, I can see what you guys are doing. How can I help? How can I be involved? And the conversations evolved, and eventually we got to this point where we've just signed papers. By the way, solicitors fees, they're always a bit scary. And in this video, I'm going to try and explain to you my thought process we got there, what's going to happen next, some of the really probing questions that Simon asked me. We filmed for about 3 hours. I've cut that down to about 15 minutes for you. I hope you find it interesting because it's been a hell of a journey. So what are we going to do with this money? Well, we are not about to take a holiday to Hawaii or the Alps and enjoy it. This is money for the business. And when Simon asked me this, if I invest, what would you spend it on? What do you need? Do you know what? We've got this fantastic building, we've got this fantastic staff and the skills, we've got everything that we need, we've got all the tools. What we need now is talent. We need people to make things happen. And he was like, yeah, that's my background. I got this. Let's do this. Let's get recruiting, let's find people, and let's just grow and develop a really exciting team. And we just found that synergy, and eventually we signed papers, and now weirdly 38% of everything you see in the shop belongs to somebody else, and that is a weird feeling. When I look around, I have to ask myself, was it a good deal? 38% is a lot, and £100,000 for everything you see, all those bikes, all those tools, those turbo trainers, all that gym equipment. It's not mine anymore. I'm sharing it with someone. I joked and called it sharing my toys, and it feels a bit like that. The other side of my brain is I need help. I need help that I can't afford to recruit. And this is an opportunity to have someone with so much experience and talent come into my business and add value to the point where I couldn't do that. As a small business, you would never be able to attract that caliber of individual. And the funding that he has provided means that we can now attract other individuals of a high caliber and really, I don't know, I think there's something really, really exciting happening here. And 38%, my feelings on this was, it only comes down to when we pay out dividends, and I've never ever taken a dividend out of the business. I've always reinvested any profit that we might have made or not made, and I've just left it in the business. So if with all this extra help we can achieve a dividend, then 62% of a dividend is better than none at all. So do I worry about the percentage when I really, really drill down to it? I don't think it matters that much. So there we go. I've had my Dragon's Den moment, or my Shark Tank moment for those of you in America. Let's introduce you to Simon.
I'm Simon Horsley. I have a love for road cycling, time trialing, and most recently just getting into gravel riding as well. Competing for a team called Legato Racing. We compete in the various VTTA championships. Pleased to report that this year we had some great success with 2 gold medal winning performances as a team. I absolutely get what it takes to ride a high level and what to expect from your bikes in terms of performance, etc. I retired earlier this year after a number of years working in the software industry, particularly in the sales side. Worked for 27 years for a company called Bentley Systems, who provided me with fantastic opportunities to really get a good understanding of how a business can function, how it functions effectively and efficiently, how to effectively lead teams, how to develop a strong culture where leadership is at the front of that, and how we get the best out of people, helping them achieve the highest levels possible. And I had thought, well, I can now retire and I'm going to just be a full-time cyclist and just enjoy riding my bike. But I very quickly realized that I had a lot more to offer than that, and that I needed to be more fulfilled, and that I needed to somehow marry my love and passion for cycling with the experience I've gained over the years in terms of business and sales, etc., and leadership. And I was thinking about, well, what can I do? How am I going to do this? And guess what? I was riding my bike and light bulb moment. I suddenly thought, well, there's this local company called Mapdec, and I sent my bike to be serviced there, and they've done custom builds for me, and they just provide fantastic service. And every time I go in there, there's a great vibe. Their attention to detail is first class. If I have any problems or issues, they're always very quick to focus in on it, be creative in terms of how to solve it, etc., and solve it in a very timely manner and get me back on the road as quick as possible. So I thought, well, what if I could combine my skills with Paul's skills? Wouldn't that be a winning formula? 1 + 1 = 3 type scenario. Hence, we are where we are, and it's clear that there's going to be a good partnership between myself and Paul for those reasons.
Welcome to the team, Simon.
Thank you very much, Paul.
It's been a process.
Absolutely.
But I'm so excited about the future possibilities. I think this opens up a whole avenue of filling massive skills gap in our company and some revenue to actually do something with, which is super exciting. It's really flattering for an entrepreneur to be recognised as something that's got some potential.
Absolutely.
This is going to be our business planning meeting, and I think I want to start, if that's okay, with the question that I know that everybody has got on their lips: is the cycling industry is in turmoil. There's businesses going bankrupt left, right, and centre. Wiggle is in administration. Are you mad?
Absolutely. We've got to be a little bit mad to be successful, I believe. So absolutely, I think if I was to talk to a number of friends or ex-work colleagues that I work with and explain to them that the business industry I'm thinking of getting into, or I'm getting into, they'd all be looking at me like, are you sure? Is now the right time? But then, my experience over the years, then those that really know me would think, I can understand why Simon's getting into this, because when things all look like to be heading in one direction, there's always an opportunity that's in there somewhere, and you just got to spot the opportunity.
And for me, the whole industry turmoil at the moment is probably the most exciting part, because whenever there is turmoil in the economy, everything just gets thrown up in the air and the dust settles in a completely different order. And it's the most exciting opportunity, I think, to do something.
Totally. I mean, if you said, hey, we've got a bike shop and I'm reselling all these bikes, I probably wouldn't have been interested. But this is not a classic shop in that respect. It's really a hub of expertise, a hub of knowledge. And that's what really appeals to me, the fact that, bike servicing and servicing to the highest level is here. I mean, I don't know about you, anybody else, but I absolutely hate riding bikes that have a slightest squeak or something's not quite right. And I like to be able to go to somewhere where they can take the time to figure it out, fine-tune it, and give me a bike that feels like a bike when I ride it, and it just works perfectly. I mean, that's what I like. And I think it's also, getting advice. So things might not be not working, but if you want something to work a bit more efficiently or effectively or get a better position on the bike, it's being able to go to a trusted advisor that can really guide you, and that's guiding you, I believe, with the customer's best interest in mind, as opposed to, I've got to sell this bit of equipment because that's what I'm, that's the supplier I am for, and I've therefore got to recommend this. Something that's more independent and can give more an independent kind of viewpoint is ideal. And obviously we can define, and we will define success in different ways. But I think the market's right now. I just sense what's going on. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that you guys have done, and it's resonating with the market out there. I mean, we just have to look at the number of views and feedback, and then look at the people that are picking up the phone and saying, hey, I'm interested in having a bike built for me. There's some real telltale signs there. There's some real tailwinds that we can capitalize on, I believe.
I think my enthusiasm for YouTube has come from the exasperation of what's already out there, and that is, and actually it's been really insightful, because now we're of a certain size, we are getting emails from lots and lots of places asking us to review things and do things. And I can start to see how a YouTube channel goes on a downward spiral, because it's very easy to say yes to everything, and we would have Chinese wheels coming out of our ears. The inbox is just flooded with, can I send you some wheels? Can I send you some wheels? And I'm like, I'm just not interested, because you turn into the Chinese wheel channel very, very quickly. And we'd find more elaborate ways of testing them and compare one against the other and give opinions and try and be fair. But ultimately, you're only testing stuff that's been sent to you for free. I've said no to nearly everything.
It might be easy to say with what we don't do before we start about saying what we do.
What we don't do, it's an interest. Well, we don't do mass sales, that's something that I'm just not interested in. And never ever ever want to get to the point where we're ordering boxes of stock and listing them onto a website or putting prices on them or hanging them onto a shelf. It's not something that I'm interested in the slightest.
Sure.
Other people could do that, and that can be frustrating because there will be people that come into our shop and say, have you got a pump? You know, for instance, okay, we've got a couple of pumps, but you know, and we're like, no, I'm sorry, just, do you know what? Just buy it off Amazon. It's like, it's going to be there tomorrow. And it's going to be cheaper than I could ever sell it to. And we have to, like, you know, that was a customer in our shop willing to give us money. But and I can see why you get into that situation. We've got to go, no, we draw a line if that's not something that we do. Okay. And we need to sort of somehow set expectations that's, I never want it to be a thing, because I never want to be like, oh my God, I've got like a rack full of pumps that I can't sell, and or see a mechanic like wasting their skills on that they've got.
Yeah. So we don't want to be doing Black Friday 50% off all pumps.
Never. Like, I can put that on record. Like, I never want to be involved in a Black Friday sale or doing e-commerce, anything, unless it's our own product. Like, I quite like if we've developed something like the grease syringes that we've done in the past. We've had our own map boards. Yeah. You know, if there's a product that I've designed and developed, then you'll sell it. But it's like a very, very small part of what we do. It just was, I haven't developed this. People seem to want it. Let's make it available.
So, matter of fact, if there was one supplier out there,
one
brand out there that you think, I wish they'd pick up the phone and call me, who would that?
Princeton, Rocky Mountain. Yeah, okay. If you're listening, if someone from Princeton or Rocky Mountain got on the phone to us and said, I want to work with you, I'd probably.
Okay, and why would they be inclined to pick up the phone and call you then?
But at the moment, those two brands would be because we sold lots.
Right, okay.
And I think if they make a fantastic product, but I don't think they've realised the power of a local bike shop in delivering that product. I think they're two brands which are still making a very good product, but they're still trying to deliver it in an old, out-of-date method.
So we're waiting for that call.
I'm waiting for that call. When they're ready, I think there'll be bike shops like us that will get behind that brand and really push it and do very well with them. But Princeton's a good example, because Princeton are now doing what Envy used to do, and that is building with really good quality hubs, a really good quality wheel build, on a really good quality rim, and they're not trying to do everything themselves. They're pulling like all the best components together and then offering choice. You know, there's a broad range of choice now on that.
What's your thoughts on the most effective way to market in this current market then?
Yeah, do you know what? This is one of the reasons I started getting into YouTube. One, because I found that I really enjoyed it. COVID had kind of inspired me to do it, and actually I really like doing it. But we're at the point now where you have to speak to your customers, and you can't do that effectively face to face all the time. Yeah. You can't do it. And so the most effective marketing, as we know, is face to face, word of mouth. And the next thing is that YouTube is the next best thing. Anything that I think where we can talk to people and meet people, either digitally or in person, would be a marketing strategy that I think aligns with those values.
Well, that kind of leads on to my next thought in terms of, as part of marketing, I mean, in your opinion then, what are the key events, industry shows that we should be attending and be present at, and why then?
I don't know, and I'm really looking forward to exploring this with you, because until I went to Roulette Live, until we had the invitation, I would never have considered that event. I want to be there next year. I think I've reached out to them. I don't know whether we'll get a place. They're still like, oh, we want to be working with like Pinarello and Bianchi, and like, who's the hell do you like bike shop?
That's fine, but
like, we'll work on them. We're going to keep pushing, because I think we could really offer that event something that sounds a bit arrogant to say. But I had this vision of like having our stand there and bringing all our mechanics down, just closing the shop for the day, and meeting people on a mass thing. And we could just set up a stall and have appointments and come along and chat, and like you've got a creaky bottom bracket, let's see what you've got, or you've got a bike fitting issue, and we can probably bring some of our strength coaches down as well. And I know there's lots of people that we met down there who are, you know, on coaching programs, who are being given strength training by their coaches and that sort of thing, and we've got that advice here. We could meet you there. And I was really inspired. I thought, do you know what, we could just go and just meet, like almost do the YouTube thing on a small.
Yeah.
Whether we'll get invited or not, I don't know. But yeah, I thought, well, we could partner up with Look and Time, and maybe like that consultation process that happens here in the shop, we could take and put it in London for the weekend.
Travel, absolutely. Having the right people on the team doing the right things at the right time is obviously critical. So, you know, if we think about Mapdec going forward, and obviously there's Mapdec today and there's Mapdec going forward, but I mean, how would you describe the culture now, and how do you see that culture evolving over the next year or two, if you would describe team culture?
The culture at the moment is a lot of pride, a lot of attention to detail, of community. The thing that I really like to say is getting to know people well, you know, as friends and first names, and that's something that we value in part of our jobs every single day. So how we keep that is going to be the difficult thing. We're bringing some new people into the team, and I think it'll be a shock for them. The people that we're interviewing have probably been in workshops, you know, behind a closed door. You know, it's quite rare that we can just see our workshop here.
People can see you doing the work as well.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a bit intimidating. I have to say,
put that hammer away. It's like, you know, it's like
There's definitely times like that. So there's that culture of, I mean, the mechanics will know when they can do that and when they can't, but there's definitely a very open, honest. You can see we don't encourage people to stick around and watch, because it's just every now and then it's quite funny. Someone will say, "Oh, do you mind if I watch?" I'm like, my response to that is always like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, so,
I'm a brain surgeon. Do you mind if I come and watch the next operation?
I'd love to see that. Do you mind if I come and watch? And they go, suddenly they go, "Oh, I get your point. I'll go make a cup of coffee." So it's as much as I like being open and people can see things going on, you still need to have some sort of barrier that's like, okay, I'm working now.
But can I home in on a few key words there around culture then? It would be open, transparent. I mean, what other words would you use?
Absolutely. Integrity. It's, you know, when you buy your bike here, we keep all the parts and we say, like, this is all the stuff that we took off your bike here. And then this is real worn out. I think this is what caused this to wear out. It's, you will come in here, you will meet a mechanic at the till, and the mechanic will book it in, and they'll wobble bits of your bikes and we'll give them their ideas. And when you get your bike's in the stand and we've got it, you'll get a phone call from the mechanic that says, this is what you need, this is the prices, can we go ahead? And when you come and collect your bike, the mechanic will give you your bike back and say, this is all the work did, these are all the spare parts. And you've been, as a customer of ours, you've been involved in that process the whole way through. There was a time in COVID when we couldn't do that because we couldn't have people in the building in the very early days of COVID and stuff. And we got someone who unfortunately been made redundant before they announced furlough, which is so. And he was amazing because he would meet people at the door, and he became that sort of service manager. He'd book people in with his mask and the clean thing, which the mechanics could just work. And when we reviewed that out as a team later, the mechanics really missed their interaction. They really missed, you know, the seeing someone really happy that their bike's all come back, it's clean, it all works perfectly, and they missed the reward side. And they also missed the fact that this is someone's pride and joy. This is the sort of the bike that gives them so much happiness, and it's all working properly again.
I think it's really important. That's a really key point, because, you know, what a particular mechanic might perceive as you know, a pride and joy type bike might be different to the actual customer. So I think having that way to kind of relate and understand that everybody's bike is probably their pride and joy, no matter what it looks like. Who are the competition? Who do we need to
be aware of, and how do we outplay the competition?
Interesting. I think the competition is the local independent bike mechanic. Our competition is not Wheelbase or Bike Treks or the Giant Shop. Locally, even globally, our competition is the local guy. There's a couple of mechanics locally. There's Robin at Race Ready Suspension. There's I can't remember his name now, at the Bike Spanner. He's going to really be upset because he's a really nice guy. And there were excellent mechanics who have got no interest in running the big business or having a team. They just like working on bikes, and then traditionally very hard to get hold of and find, and they can be fairly limited with the services that they can provide. For instance, they can't do everything. Like Robin doesn't do e-bikes, but he just does suspension. For instance, the Bike Spanner doesn't do suspension, so he brings all his suspension work here and that sort of stuff. So, but I think that's going to be a growing part of where this industry goes. Is small, independent, really highly professional mechanics getting their voice heard through social media and word of mouth, and grow exactly the same way as I did. Of just one customer leads to another customer, leads to word of mouth, leads to another thing, and it grows, and the next thing you know, you have another mechanic helping you out, and so that's an underswell of what I feel is happening in the industry right now.
So I think it's been, well, from my point of view, it's actually been really, really beneficial to have this conversation in this kind of format without trying to go, right, let's get specific on this, specific on that. Because it's given me a much greater appreciation. I mean, I'd already had a certain level, but I've got a much greater appreciation of how you would talk about the business. If I was talking to somebody now, I've got a much greater sense, I think, in terms of how I'd pitch the business and how I'd talk about it, and probably be more effective in doing that. Plus, I got a bit of a sense of where your head is in the business, and I think it would enable me to be more in tune now going forward in terms of synergies, in terms of what we're trying to do. I mean, I hope you gather that from. I don't know.
It's good. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of therapy happened in that.
So much paperwork.
That's you signing and dating. That's your meeting. You had the board meeting this morning.
I had a board meeting.
At 10 o'clock.
Congratulations, Simon.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure.
What have you got yourself into?
I don't know. What have I got myself into?
This is 2 minutes from our house, everybody.
Sorry. Right, I'm done. Let's go skiing. Speed!